Shown here is the lobby of an urban communal apartment in the south-central Soviet Union. During the Stalin-era Soviet Union, a massive proportion of young factory workers would emigrate to the cities, and a fairly cheap living situation in these large cities were state-run communal apartments. The entryway of this apartment is depicted. Within this, we see a communal table and a few chairs, with one of the young men living here also shown. Dark wood and cheap, damaged wood floors are central features here. It is a small room with a hallway to several of the apartment rooms. Within the southern regions of the USSR, which at the time encompassed the modern nations of Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, there was a significant Muslim majority. This, as a reminder, is the region in which the space is encompassed. The young people of labor force age in these areas were an important target for the Soviet government because they were in nations with nationalist tendencies which the Central Soviet government deemed dangerous. On the topic of these tendencies, a propaganda piece specifically produced for this region is shown in this space. The propaganda is haphazardly taped to an exit door as something that has recently been put up, likely not by anyone in the communal apartment. This propaganda depicts a giant Churchill pushing an equally as large, fat, and wrinkle-faced man forward. The man being pushed wears a gas mask, a suit, and a holy cross, and sprays the suffocating gas and religious intoxication on the people below. They come out in blue and brown streams and flood the ground below. On the ground are much smaller men dressed in Islamic garb falling over due to the gas. Many are in chains. The ones who have not yet fallen over are attempting to run away. This piece is titled Imperialism y Religia, which translates to Imperialism and Religion. The suffocating gas is labeled by its Russian translation, Udushливый gaz. Likewise, for the religious intoxication in the other container, which is labeled Религиозный дурман. The text on this propaganda piece says, Дорогу капиталу и империалистическому гнету в колонии прокладывают попы. Миссионеры с помощью ядовитого дурмана религии, which translates as, the road to capitalism and imperialist oppression in the colonies is paved by missionaries with the help of the poisonous gas of religion. This propaganda is dated to the year 1939, which is also the date chosen to contextualize this space. The main anti-religious campaign in the Soviet Union took place in the years 1921 to 1928, and this targeted each of the three main religious groups in the USSR at the time, namely Orthodox Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. However, at the start of World War I, Stalin and his propaganda machine turned to embrace the Orthodox religion and tie it to the Russian motherland, hoping to inspire nationalism in Russia through the two twin pillars of Russian pride. At this point, however, Muslims and Jews were still being ostracized as outside religions. However, Judaism during World War II specifically was not heavily targeted given the rhetoric's tie to fascism. As a result, the most prominent anti-religious propaganda was isolated anti-Muslim propaganda in the beginning of wartime. The campaign against Islam in the 1930s was directly linked with the physical annihilation of Islamic nationalist communities of the Central Asian parts of the USSR. This is a large reason as to why these groups continued to be targeted throughout World War II. When comparing data on closed mosques in the 1930s, mosques, which were never in super plentiful numbers, were removed at rates many times higher than in pre-revolutionary times. This situation became clearer if we remember that in the years 1932 to 1937, this was the so-called Godless 5-Year Plan, a program of anti-Islamic socialism resulting in the rapid closure of mosques. In tandem with this, a substantial part of this was deploying atheist propaganda to areas with majority Muslim populations, especially in areas which would affect the young and impressionable people. The labor force aged workers living in these communal apartments, then, were a perfect target for these ideas.